Why Aemond Targaryen betrayed his nephew Lucerys at Storm's End. Have you ever wondered why Aemond Targaryen, one of the fiercest dragon riders of his age, turned on his own kin and betrayed his nephew Lucerys Velaryon at Storm's End? Was it a moment of blind rage, a cruel twist of fate, or was it destiny, written in blood, fire, and prophecy long before either of them was born? Today, we dive deep into one of the most shocking betrayals in House of the Dragon, Aemond's pursuit of Lucerys through the storm, a chase that ended not only with Lucerys' tragic death but also with the first real spark of the Dance of the Dragons. By the end of this video, you'll understand the why behind Aemond's choice, the motives, the emotions, the grudges, and the impossible weight of family rivalry that made betrayal inevitable. Stay with me, because this story is not just about a prince killing his nephew. It's about the birth of a war that would destroy House Targaryen from within. To understand why Aemond turned on Lucerys, we need to rewind years before that stormy night at Storm's End. Aemond Targaryen was the second son of Alicent Hightower and King Viserys. From the start, he was caught in the shadows of his elder brother Aegon. Unlike Aegon, Aemond was dutiful, disciplined, and ambitious. Yet, there was always a deep wound in him, the fact that he did not claim a dragon as a child. Do you remember that scene in the training yard, when young Aemond was mocked for being dragonless, bullied by his nephews Jacaerys and Lucerys Velaryon? That humiliation burned into him. To Aemond, Lucerys wasn't just a cousin, he was a daily reminder of his own weakness, of what he lacked, and of the way his family laughed at him. The insult only deepened when Aemond finally found his chance to claim a dragon, and not just any dragon, but Vhagar, the largest and most fearsome living beast in the world. His triumph came at a cost. A violent fight with his cousins, ending with Lucerys slashing his eye. From that day forward, Aemond Targaryen was forever Aemond One Eye. And the boy who cut his face, Lucerys, became his sworn enemy. Was it destiny that these two would meet again in the storm? Perhaps, but the hatred had already been carved into them years earlier. When King Viserys died, the realm stood at the brink of civil war. On one side was Rhaenyra, Viserys' chosen heir, and on the other, Aegon II, Aemond's elder brother. Now here's the key. Aemond believed deeply in the legitimacy of his mother Alicent's claim. To him, Rhaenyra's children were illegitimate, bastards born of Harwin Strong, not true Velaryons, and certainly not true Targaryens. This wasn't just political for Aemond. It was personal. He had shed blood for this belief. He had lost an eye for it. So when the Blacks and the Greens finally broke into open rivalry, Aemond was ready to fight. Unlike his brother Aegon, who often drank and shirked duty, Aemond saw himself as the true sword of House Hightower Targaryen. That's why, when his mother sent him to Storm's End to secure Lord Barrows Baratheon's allegiance, Aemond saw it not merely as a mission but as an opportunity, a chance to prove his loyalty and his strength. But he didn't expect Lucerys to be there first. Picture the scene. The great hall of Storm's End. The banners of House Baratheon whipping in the wind. The storm raging outside. Lord Barrows Baratheon sat on his seat, weighing offers from both sides. On one side stood Aemond One Eye, tall, imposing, and backed by the might of Vhagar. On the other stood young Lucerys, only 14, carrying a message from Rhaenyra. The contrast was brutal. Lucerys came not to fight, but to deliver words. Aemond came ready for war. And here's the critical detail. Aemond demanded satisfaction. He taunted Lucerys, called him Lord Strong, mocking his illegitimacy. He even went so far as to demand that Lucerys put out his own eye as payment for the wound he had inflicted years ago. Lord Barrows, however, refused to let blood be shed under his roof. He would not allow kin-slaying in his hall. He dismissed Lucerys, sending him off into the storm. But Aemond was not done. His rage, his hunger for vengeance, boiled over. Lucerys mounted Arax, his young dragon, and fled into the night. But Aemond followed on Vhagar. Now, let's pause here. Was Aemond planning to kill Lucerys? Or was he only trying to terrify him? The sources differ. Some say Aemond wanted only to frighten his nephew, to humiliate him in the skies. Others insist he intended blood from the start. What we do know is this. The storm was fierce, the skies alive with thunder and lightning. Arax, small and swift, darted through the rain. Vhagar, massive and ancient, loomed like a shadow of death. Aemond shouted commands. He wanted control. But dragons are not simple beasts. They are fire-made flesh. Arax, panicked, lashed out, spitting fire at Vhagar. And Vhagar, proud and ancient, answered with fury. In that moment, Aemond lost control. Vhagar closed her jaws on Arax, tearing dragon and rider from the sky. Lucerys Velaryon was gone in an instant, swallowed by the storm and the sea. So here's the question. Did Aemond truly choose to betray his nephew? Or was it an accident, a tragic consequence of dragon's wild nature? On the surface, Aemond may not have commanded Vhagar to kill. His panic in the aftermath suggests he did not expect Lucerys to die that night. But here's the deeper truth. Aemond had already betrayed Lucerys long before the dragons clashed. His betrayal wasn't in the command, it was in the pursuit. By chasing his young nephew into the storm, by unleashing Vhagar into that night sky, Aemond sealed Lucerys' fate. Even if he didn't intend death, he intended terror. And in a world where dragons are weapons of mass destruction, terror and death walk hand in hand. Aemond may not have wanted Lucerys' blood on his hands, but his actions made it inevitable. To Aemond, Lucerys was more than just a nephew. He was the embodiment of every insult, every wound, every betrayal Aemond had endured since childhood. Think about it. Lucerys cut out his eye. Lucerys represented the bastard bloodline Aemond despised. Lucerys was the son of Rhaenyra, the woman Aemond and his mother saw as a usurper. When those two faced each other at Storm's End, it wasn't just a boy and his uncle. It was the weight of years of grudges colliding in one thunderstorm. Aemond may not have set out to murder his kin that night, but betrayal was written into his every decision, his taunts, his chase, his need for vengeance. Lucerys never stood a chance. Here's what makes Aemond's betrayal so catastrophic. Lucerys' death was not just the loss of one boy. It was the breaking of peace. Rhaenyra had restrained herself until then. She wanted to claim her throne without burning the realm. But when her son was slain, when his remains washed up on the shore, there was no turning back. Aemond's choice lit the first true fire of the Dance of the Dragons. His betrayal turned whispers of war into full-blown bloodshed. And though he may have regretted it in that instant, he had crossed a line from which there was no return. So why did Aemond betray Lucerys? Because vengeance outweighed family. Because old wounds festered into hatred. Because the fire of dragons burns hotter than reason. Aemond's betrayal wasn't the calculated act of a cold killer. It was the impulsive fury of a man who had lived too long in the shadow of his scars. But betrayal, it was, not just of his nephew, but of his father's dream of unity, of his house's strength, and of the blood bond that should have kept Targaryens from destroying each other. And so, Storm's End became the beginning of the end. Aemond Targaryen, the prince with one eye and the mightiest dragon in the world, could not resist his hunger for vengeance. Lucerys Velaryon, the boy with a young dragon and a message of peace, became the first casualty of a war that would tear the realm apart. When you look back on that stormy night, ask yourself, was this betrayal born in that single chase, or had it been building since the moment Aemond lost his eye? Perhaps, in the end, the Dance of the Dragons was not about who sat the Iron Throne, but about the inevitability of blood debts coming due. And Aemond Targaryen paid his debt in the only currency he knew: fire, blood, and betrayal.